Good morning. Good morning. What's up? What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? Hope you guys are doing well. Today is November the 3rd. It is a kind of game plan on what we're looking for coming to this week. We just came off of FOMC and a bunch of major tech earnings. We still have a few more earnings here coming up. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. How's everyone doing? What's up? What's up? Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Victor, B Roots, KO, Jeff, OB, Daniela, Cosmox, ALX. Good morning, Wayne, Andreas. Yeah, we also had daylight savings time. So currently, I think we gained an hour. What's up, Hartik, Juan, Sinna, Dragon, Miss Reggie, Voice. Yeah, Voice should be good. Like we're not 100%. Since on the weekend I had to go just a little bit just because, I had to watch the Jays game, but that was unfortunate that we ended up losing. But yeah, let's kind of go on to the weekly outlook. All right, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me grab some water here and we'll get started. Oh, you guys lost an hour? I guess that's how it works if you're on the other side of the world, but we gained an hour. Okay. So coming into today, we do have ISM that is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As for the rest of the red folder news events, they are tentative still with the government shutdown. Wednesday, ADP non-farm enrollment. We also do have ISM services at 10 a.m. here on Wednesday as well. Potential unemployment here on Thursday, and then Friday we have some more tentative news events, which will be core PC, non-farm enrollment, plus the enrollment change. So coming into today, we have red folder news. We have some earnings that I'll kind of talk about later. And then we have Wednesday ADP non-farm enrollment. All right. So with the earnings calendar, we still have some earnings, as you can see. Let me kind of just zoom in here. So we had a bunch of major new earnings last week. The Meg 7, right? Apple, Microsoft, Google. We had Amazon. We still have a few more earnings here. So some notable earnings to keep an eye out on. Palantir after close coming into today. Tomorrow morning, we have Uber, Shopify. We also have Spotify, AMD, SMCI. So these are the big ones, at least this week. We have AMD on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, you have Robinhood, APP. And then on Thursday, you have a few other ones here as well. Alrighty. So yeah, with that being said, let's kind of head on to the major indices and what we're looking at coming into today. So first things first, as you can see here, we're on the ES hourly chart. Really, we had a nice push towards the upside last week on Thursday and Friday. Sorry, this was on Monday and Tuesday, and then the rest of the week with FOMC, with a bunch of earnings as well. We're kind of just consolidating. I wouldn't say consolidating, we're ranging, but we're in a very big range, as you can see. So for the overall market moving forward here, specifically on the ES, key levels that we have marked out is going to be this news candle high. Plus we have our FOMC lows here as well. So moving forward, if we do want to see any sort of upside, any sort of upside is going to be above our 6890. For some downside, it's going to be underneath this level. So if we go into the 15-minute time frame, you can see how many touches we've had around this general area. So I'd say we're ranging a little bit more just because we've been broken underneath, right? Kind of just consolidating above it. Broke underneath once again. Once it got back above, you had a couple nice reactions off this level, right? A couple rejections off this level. So this is a very key level here for the ES. I'll be very cautious, right? Whenever we're trading inside of a zone like this, it just makes it a lot more difficult to trade, a lot more kind of bounces, right? Rejections, right? Mean reversions, specifically on the ES. So coming into today, right, until we can have some sort of news event or until we really now break outside, I'd say at a minimum of this range, it's going to be a lot more difficult to trade. Of course, we can be looking for some scalping opportunities, but at least for the overall indices, as I mentioned, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But key level, as I mentioned, coming to market open, 680.90. Potential reclaim back above this level, we can see a little bit of a push towards the upside. If we look at the SPY chart, you can see this a little bit more clear. It has less kind of noise, but key level is similar thing. We're going to kind of mark out. It's going to be the key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be this FOMC high, and we're going to mark out really this FOMC low. So on SPY chart, you can see a couple touches we've had, broke underneath it, got back above. On Friday, another touch again, right? Use this as a retest towards the downside, and then we basically close at this very key area, which is your 682. So coming into today, really the level that we're going to draw out is going to be this 682. If we do want to see, right, continuation higher, couple scenarios, let me actually just zoom in. Couple scenarios for SPY coming to market open. Break above your previous day highs, above your 685.50 for continuation towards upside. Another possible scenario is the bounce off your 682.50 for this continuation higher here as well. I personally really don't want to be looking for opportunities inside of this level. So as I mentioned, either the break above your previous day highs for continuation, or now it's going to be the bounce off our key level of support, which is this 682.50. As for some shorts, similar thing, right? Rejection off the top of your range, come back down towards the middle of the range, or now it's going to be break underneath 682.50 for this potential continuation down in towards that 679. So this is what I have coming into today here for SPY. I'm actually more neutral here on the SPY in itself. I'm more bullish on the NQ, which I'll show you here in a second. Let's actually go into that now. All right. As for the NQ chart, you can see higher lows are still very much built here. So higher time frames, if you're just looking at this compared to the ES, you can see this one's a little bit more bullish. ES continues towards the downside. The market structure is still technically not intact now. We came down for the gap fill, whereas the NQ remained bullish, right? And it is now creating these higher lows. So for the NQ coming into really today in this week, since this one is the leading indice, the key levels that we have marked out is going to be this FOMC low. So with higher lows being built, FOMC low is going to be key here. What I'd like to see now is really the hold of your FOMC low, which is going to be this 26,080 for any sort of continued pushback towards upside. Another possible scenario now is going to be the break above your 26,200 for this continuation higher here as well. As for rejections, pop and fade, or getting underneath your FOMC low for this continued push back towards the downside. All right, as for the QQQ, similar thing here, key levels that we have marked out, all-time highs. We have your FOMC low here as well. So this could be the key level moving forward. If you want to see any sort of upside, maintain above your 630 for continuation back towards upside, or now it's going to be the break above your previous day highs, 634 for continuation towards upside. So for the Qs, as I mentioned, a lot more bullish than SPY, as you can see. For comparing these two charts, SPY almost came back down for the gap fill here on Friday, whereas the QQQ maintained above this 626. So at least for tech names, we have some nice names that are setting up here on the higher time frames, specifically on tech and some other names here that we'll take a look at in a second. But for the Qs, right, we have the levels marked out. It's going to be this 630 along with this 634. And then SPY, it's going to be this 682 along with this 685.50. Alrighty, now let's go on to some of the tech names that we have coming into today. Let me grab some water here and then we'll head on to Tesla and the rest of the names here as well. All right, what's up everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning. Do you trade weekly expiration? If not, why? Do you trade? Yeah, I trade weekly expirations, one out the money, or right, I'll choose the one with the most volume. With your Jack on one of your subscribe, please tell me how to contact with you on X or Insta. I personally don't check those as often. If you want to get a hold of me, you can email me. That's probably the best option instead of right Insta or X. All right. Let's go on to Tesla. So first things first, if we're looking at Tesla here on the daily chart, I still like this one a lot. As you can see here, kind of basing, right? We have higher lows being built, basing right above your previous, bracing right before your all-time highs. I think we could have a big move here on Tesla fairly shortly. Once we do have that nice base consolidation period, right? It's really just set up for that next leg towards the upside. Currently on the hourly chart, I'd say we're consolidating a little bit more, but now we're starting to kind of build these higher lows. Key levels that we have marked out really kind of is this range, which is between our 416 and our 448. Last week, I wanted to see the break above, continuation higher. Came back down later into the week, but we're still technically bullish because we're holding our 440. Higher lows are being built. Now for Tesla, really, it's going to be kind of the break above this 466. That's going to be the next level that Tesla has to reclaim if we want to see a bigger push higher. But at least coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out. Number one, 450, 454, along with your 460. So a few scenarios that we have on Tesla. I'd say Tesla is just kind of consolidating more. Anything that happens on the lower time frames isn't going to be as important. The higher time frames is key in this case. But for Tesla, right, break above 460, continuation higher. Another possible scenario, kind of maintain above this 454 for a pushback towards the upside. And then the last scenario, potentially it could come all the way back down and towards your 450 and still maintain bullish stance for a continuation higher. As for some downside, another possible scenario, kind of pop and fade, or we get underneath this 454. In my opinion, Tesla, just keep an eye out on these key levels and the reactions that we have off these key levels. Currently, it's just based off of intraday price action. The higher time frames is setting up, but it's taking a little bit longer, and you can just take a look at this daily chart. So until we can have a really strong candle close above, now I'd consider this the 465. I'll be a little bit more cautious trading this intraday, or at least looking for a lot of continuation, right? Similar to kind of what I did back here. Until we can have a strong candle close, right? This was really just consolidating. So we're waiting for a strong candle close above the range, and then that's going to ignite really this next push towards the upside. All right, that's what we have for Tesla coming to market open. Let's go on to Nvidia here. Sorry, I was just grabbing a little bit of water. But yeah, coming into today and coming into this week here for Nvidia, Nvidia usually likes to have its own earnings later, but we do have AMD earnings coming up, and we have a bunch of other semis as well. But my levels coming to AMD for this week, as you can see, based off last week's price action, broke above your previous all-time highs nicely. And now we're creating a flag pattern. So we have a really big push up. Now we're consolidating. What I like to see is this next leg towards upside. Key levels that I have marked out coming into today. We're gonna mark out your previous day highs. And we can mark out a few other levels here as well. All right, so for Nvidia, key level that I have previous day highs, break above your 208. Potentially you can see some more upside towards your 210 and your all-time highs. Another possible scenario, kind of bounce off this 205, reclaim, potential move higher here as well. Nvidia is going to be my main watch coming into today. Just based off the higher time frames, right now we're pulling back. Let's see if we can get that next leg towards the upside. Keep an eye out on this one. As I mentioned, it's going to be one of the main watches coming to market open. As for Apple, I'll be a little bit cautious now. There is a reason for this to have a short-term top, just because we had earnings, and now you can see, right, big pop, and now we're having this earnings reversal. So I wouldn't be surprised for Apple if now we potentially can come all the way back down in towards this earnings low, which is this 264. So for Apple coming into today, potentially you could be looking at an Apple short underneath your 209. Underneath your 209, potentially you can see now your 264 here on the higher time frames. As I mentioned, there's a reason for Apple to have a little bit of a short-term top here, where I'm not saying Apple's not going to eventually continue higher. I'm just saying, right, be a little bit cautious trying to long Apple until it finally starts to base. So for Apple, key levels is going to be your 272. And then you can also have marked out now, it's going to be this 269. Alongside, I would only be looking for an earnings reversal once it eventually bases. I'd much rather wait for an earnings reversal much later than currently right here after, right, big pop towards all-time highs, and now we're selling off. As for AMD, this one looks really good here in my opinion, but of course we do have earnings tomorrow after close, so really not too much to talk about on this ticker, kind of ranging in between your 250 along with your 264. Right now we're currently sitting in equilibrium, key level 258. Right, either look for the hold of your 258 for continuation higher, or the break above, or the bounce play. I mean, for AMD, currently we're ranging, so I'll just be cautious of this one. We do have earnings tomorrow, as I mentioned, so you're just most likely going to hold off unless you're looking to plan to trade it into earnings. As for Amazon, so key levels here on Amazon, we recently just broke above your previous all-time highs level. Nice pop towards the upside. Now we'll see if we can come back and retest this 242.50. Yeah, my bad. As for Google, nice pop towards the upside, a little bit of a sell-off. Now the key levels that we have marked out is this 282 along with this 286. So kind of like to see a bounce off this 282 or break now back above this previous day highs. 286 for this continued push back towards the upside. Whenever we have these big pops with earnings, This setup is going to be eventually an earnings reversal play, but we have to be a little bit more patient on these ones, specifically just because, right, something like Apple, it's not going to do a V-shaped recovery, right? It would take a little bit longer, right? Maybe take out your earnings low, right? Base, and then eventually, right, we're going to have that push back towards the upside. So a lot of the ones that have earnings that reversed, right, we're going to be looking for the earnings reversal and then eventually to trade this back towards the upside. As for Microsoft, this one, key level is basically your earnings low. You can see some buyers are stepping in. Key level now is going to be this 516 for a push higher, or now it's going to be the break back above 530, previous day highs for this continuation back towards the upside here as well. And then for Meta, so Meta is really one of the names that have dropped this earnings season. And now you can see this one's kind of staying heavy, gapped underneath key levels, and now we're pushing lower. Now for Meta, key levels that we're going to have marked out. It's going to be this low we created here on Thursday, and then we also have your earnings low here as well. So break above, reclaim potential continuation higher, or now really reclaim back above your 680 for continuation higher, but ultimately, right, Meta is weaker, right, big push lower, so I'd much rather look for, right, pop and fades, right, pop, fade towards the downside, or now it's going to be the break underneath your 650, hold underneath, potentially you can see some more downside here on Meta. As for Netflix, this one has earnings coming up. But what we do have now is a split. So we had a split last week. I think it was a 10-1. And now for, we recently had earnings, but now we just had a split. So there's a good chance Netflix can potentially run back in towards the pre-split. Right, it's a news catalyst. So a lot of times, if a stock is splitting, that is fairly bullish, and it's usually a good sign that we're gonna have a run up coming into it. So key levels that we have marked out is your 1150, which is your earnings low. If you can reclaim, that's going to be your key level for a potential reversal back towards the upside. Alrighty, yeah. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. I actually ran out of water here, which is great, but let me go over a couple more names here, and then I will get ready for market open. If you guys do have any tickers, I'll probably just only go over them for next 5 to 10 minutes. Let's start off on a few of these ones. Yeah, let's go over Palantir. So first things first, Palantir, we do have earnings tonight, as you can see. This one is fairly bullish. Higher lows are being maintained. Pre-earnings, we'll see what happens. We do have, as I mentioned, earnings in the after hours. I wouldn't look to trade this one today, but we'll just wait until after earnings if we're going to look to trade this intraday. As for some few other tickers that we'll keep an eye out on, potentially, right, this AVGO retest off your previous all-time highs is in play for a push right back towards the upside. Oracle, this one really weaker in the past month or so, but now it's coming back to retest its previous all-time highs. So this is a key spot that you like to see buyers step in here on Oracle, offer 260. Hood, nice bounce off our key levels and now pushing back towards the upside. Really next levels that we have is your all-time highs. So reclaim back above 150, push back towards your all-time highs. And then for SoFi, recently just had earnings on this one, but you can see higher lows are being built. We have not shown really a loss of momentum here on the daily chart. So if we break underneath this, we're going to kind of lose a little bit of momentum here on the daily. But as long as we kind of maintain above your previous all-time highs, we're very much in a very clear uptrend here on SoFi. And we can expect continuation higher. But at least moving forward, key levels, earnings day low, earnings day high, right? These are going to be key. If we break underneath, then potentially you can see a little bit more momentum towards a loss of momentum. But besides that, we're going to kind of be in this range, and then we're just going to be looking for kind of intraday levels, right? Previous day highs and previous day lows. Let me just quickly go over these ones. Okay. Yeah, let me go over my game plan coming into today, and then I'm going to get ready for market open. But yeah, at least coming to market open today, we do have some red folder news at 10 a.m. So we'll see how that shapes up the overall markets. But as I mentioned, ever since we had FOMC last week, plus a bunch of earnings, market hasn't been as clear. We've been fairly volatile, as you can see, but there hasn't really been a clear direction in the overall market. So we're just going to be looking for intraday trades, bounces, rejections off key levels. As for SPY, I mentioned key level 685 along with this 682. Longs above your 685.50s, or a potential bounce play here offers 682. If you reject, look for the pop and fade, or now, right, shorts underneath your 682 for a continuation towards the downside. For the Qs, levels that I have marked out is going to be this 634 along with this 631. As for my main watch today, focus in on Nvidia above your previous day highs. In this case, it's going to be your 207. So 207, if you can break above, continuation towards upside, or Nvidia could come back down and towards your 205, and it's going to happen later into the session. Lately, a lot of the moves have been happening. They've taken a little bit more time. So for Nvidia, right, higher time frame flag pattern. As I mentioned, based off this hourly chart, this one, in my opinion, looks really good, right? Kind of flagging. And now we can see this next leg higher. So focus in on Nvidia coming to market open above your previous day highs. As for everything else, keep an eye out on Tesla. This one's kind of ranging. I'll be a little bit more cautious on this one. Key levels we already have set. As for Apple, previous day lows is going to be your key level. AMD has earnings, so I wouldn't trade this one. And then for Amazon, key level is going to be your previous all-time highs retest. And then for everything else, kind of ranging or pull back here with earnings. So the game plan coming into today, we're just going to really now pay attention to the overall indices themselves, SPY and Qs. If SPY can break outside the range along with Qs, then the rest of the market's going to start trending again. Besides that, on the tech side, really the only name I see here is Nvidia. So that's going to be my primary focus coming into today. Besides that, a lot of the other ones, just a lot more mean reversions, bounces off key levels, rejections off key levels. So at least for everything else, we already have those levels marked out. And yeah, that's about it. So AMD, I would not say so, just because we do have earnings tomorrow. So unless your plan is to either hold this into earnings, or I'll just be a little bit cautious scalping it, just because IV is going to be elevated with earnings coming to this week. Ultimately, if you're scalping it for a few minutes, IV is not really going to matter that much, but that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, yeah, I need to grab some water here for my throat, but that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, keep an eye out on Nvidia, and then really that's about it. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. If you guys did enjoy that, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys want to join the watch list, that of course is in the description below. And then I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.